Hello, everybody. Today I want to take you through writing a journal entry. I want you to keep in mind that you can pause the video at any point so that you can get a handle on your own process in writing your journal. So please pause the video and re-listen if you need to. Also, most of my printing and my writing is going to look like an adult did it because I'm an adult and you are a kid. So please remember, if you don't know how to write something, stretch it out using those sounds that you already know. And there is no wrong answer. Just give it your best try, okay? So, when we are writing a journal, it's important to be thinking about a few things. We want to think about who has been part of our journey and our experience, what's happened, maybe when did it happen, what day, where did you go, and how did you do it? Were you quick? Were you slow? Were you happy? Were you sad? And I like to use some transition words to guide my writing because that makes it flow really well. You might not use all of them, but maybe you'll use one or two. First, next, then, last, and finally. All right, let's get started. So, I also like to get you to draw first, don't I? So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to divide my paper into 4 squares. And I'm going to think about an activity or a time that I had. So, I'm going to think about a walk that I did. I went with my daughter, McKenna, and my son, Tyson. So that's the who. Where did we go? We went up a big hill and we ran really quickly up that hill. Now, your drawings don't have to be super fancy. I like to use drawings for ideas. You can always add details later. When we got to the top of the hill, there were trees, there were flowers. I could hear the birds singing too. Finally, it was time to go home. So we went back down the hill, and this time we didn't go so fast. We walked, and we were really tired. Okay, so how we start our journal usually is we put the date. So I'm going to say that the date today is Tuesday. April 28th, 2020. Okay, and note that I've used uppercase letters for the days and uppercase letters for the month as well. Okay, and I've tried to really make sure that all of my letters are touching the line, and I'm always starting on the left-hand side. You know that I don't love it when we start our sentences in the middle of the page, so we always want to start them here. And if you want to skip lines, you can. But sometimes with journals, you can get a lot more details if you don't skip lines. So I think now that you're ready for grade 2, you don't need to skip lines, and then that way you can include more details. Okay? So I'm going to start with today. That's telling the when. Today, I went for a walk. And maybe I'll include who I went with. So today I went for a walk. Good readers always reread what they're writing to make sure that it makes sense. With. Now there isn't enough room here to put McKenna's name, so I'm going to sweep down McKenna. Notice that her name has a capital at the beginning because we capitalize those letters. And I've included finger spaces too. And Tyson. Now at the end of a sentence, we always want to put a period or an exclamation mark or a question mark. And here, because nothing really too crazy and exciting is happening, I'm just going to use a period. So today I went for a walk with McKenna and Tyson. Now I'm going to use one of my transition words to make it flow. I might choose the word next. Or maybe even first. First. Now there isn't enough room here, so I'm going to skip down, ran up a big hill. And that's that thought there, so I'm going to put a period. When we got to the top, sometimes I like to say the sentence first to see if it makes sense, then I write it. You might want to try that too. Don't forget to pause so that you can do these things as well. When we got to the top. We saw. Now I'm going to pause here and I'm just going to look up to my picture and remind myself, what did I see? Oh, right. I saw trees, I saw flowers, and I saw birds. We saw trees. And because there's more than one, we're going to put an S on the end. And we're doing a list, so we're going to use something called a comma. You might not get to that point, but that's okay. Trees, flowers, and I think I can squeeze and in here. Oh, that was a tight squeeze. And birds. So now, just to recap, we've got our who, we've got some what. What is we saw birds and trees and flowers. The what is also what we did. We ran up a big hill. When? Well, we talked about that. It was today. And where? Yep, up a big hill. And how? We did it quickly. We ran. Now we can talk about maybe how it was time to go or what we did up there. We played tag in the trees. That was fun. Maybe you might talk about how you felt. I was happy. I'm going to use a transition word now. Then it was time to go. Now we were feeling a little tired, remember? So I'm going to talk about how we came down the hill. We walked down the hill. We were tired. And there you have it. We've done a journal writing that talked about who, what, when, where, how. It has lots of details. I've included finger spaces. There are periods at the end of every sentence. I've talked about the details. And I used my pictures to help guide my thinking, which is really important. I want you to try the same now. Don't forget, periods at the end of your sentences, finger spaces in between your words, and you can use uppercase at the beginning of your sentences. Remember, if you ever get stuck about what to say it out loud first, and then you write it. And you do your very best with the sounds that you hear. It doesn't have to be perfect. And if you get to 1 or 2 sentences talking about your day, that is A-okay. Good for you, and keep working hard.